With that, let's settle down. Let's settle down. This young lady hails from the Texas area. I'm not sure if she's still in the same spot in Texas because she moves around a lot, and she's always everywhere she goes. She's in an event by herself. And what I mean by an event, she is just always smiling, excited about life, living life large, and nothing holds her back. She's a just amazing lady. I love her training, and she does such a spectacular job. Without further ado, she used to be in the locksmith business, decided to get out of that, do ACN full times, and had the enough kahunas to ask one of the co-founders to come down there to Texas. And she said, I didn't know anybody, Ms. Thomas, but I made it happen. And that's what leaders do. Leaders make it happen. Without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to another regional director, Miss Roxann Corralejo.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. I like the sound of that. Regional Vice President. Ooh-wee. I'm working on it hard, y'all. Just like every single one of you guys are. But I want to give it back to you. Thank you so much. Your inspiration. That's really, truly is what gets me pushing, is just how inspiring you are to all of us. Yes, you're there for us no matter what we need. You help push us. Doesn't matter whose team we're on. And that is inspiring. And that truly is how I grow my business too, is that it doesn't matter whose team whoever is on, we're going to help each other out. And I encourage everybody to help each other out, not just look at me. And that's what I love that I pulled from you, is that you're not saying, hey, it's all about me, I'm going to help you guys get to where you need to go. You bring us together so we could collaborate and work together and help each other grow. And I love that. I see stuff in the chat where people are asking like, hey, who's been a trucker or who's been in this industry? I need you to talk to someone here. And the way that we all collaborate, that is how we all win, you guys. Like you've always heard, rising tides raises all ships, and that's the truth of it. And we all win by working together. It's not about one person. And I truly learned that from you. So thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. I appreciate you and everything that you do. So to go back, you guys, talk about what we talked about last week. I brought up confidence and how important it is to have confidence. And we hear about that all the time. But I want to go back to the definition, and I'm going to read it again because I think the definition that I picked out is just so important. It says the feeling of self-assurance from one's appreciation of one's ability or qualities. I'm going to say that again a little bit slower. The feeling of self-assurance from one's appreciation of one's own ability and quality. Having confidence isn't what other people think about you. Having confidence is your own appreciation of yourself. And why is that important? That's going to lead into the topic that I want to talk about today. And it's something I heard from Greg Provenzano on our regional coordinator and above call. So this is going to be a repeat for some of you guys, but some of y'all didn't write it down. Some of y'all didn't take it to heart the way I did. And I want you guys to really, really listen, because a lot about what we do too is rob and duplicate. I learned that from Mr. Byron Nelson. He says it's always R&D, rob and duplicate. But what we're doing is we're absorbing not only for our own knowledge, but to deliver it to other people. Parents, when they teach their children, they don't teach them from their own teachings. It's stuff that they were taught. And sometimes some of it doesn't make sense, but it still works. We don't know how that happens, but it does. And so I just want to, if you've heard it before, please take notes. Please think about how you can regurgitate this information as well and give to other people. So this is straight out of Mr. Provenzano's mouth, not mine, but he asks us to make a couple commitments. And that's where having that self-confidence and that self-assurance is important, because to commit to something, you have to know that you have the ability to do it. That's the thing. That's one thing that I am always, even with my niece and my nephew, if my nephew says something and I'm like, baby, you have to follow through with it. Your word is who you are. No matter what you say, be careful what you say, because if you have no plans on following through with it, you should not be saying it whatsoever. And so the first one is, he says, commit to being here 5 years from now. He didn't say 5 years from the start, but 5 years from now. And that's one thing that stuck out to me, is because if you don't commit to it, it most likely won't happen, because you're not confident in yourself that you'll be here 5 years from now. Be confident and say, I will be here. Commit to be here 5 years from now. I'm going 6.5 years strong here with ACN, and I definitely will be here 5 years from now. I don't know what the future is going to hold. It's going to have some ups. It's going to have some downs. It's going to have some level offs. It's going to happen, but I'm making that commitment to be here. What is 5 years? Year 11. I will be here year 11, and we will keep pushing forward. So make that commitment. The second thing he says is commit to a live weekly meeting. that kind of threw me a little bit because nobody has been making really that commitment to do live weekly meetings. We did here in Lubbock, and that's what helped us propel. It helped us go so far, but committing to that live weekly meeting and not just only on Zoom, because we have to do that give and take. We have to create something where Zoom and live meetings work together. And people have gotten so comfortable on Zoom because it's easy, because you're not really in front of people. And guess what happens? If no one shows up, you're like, dang. But if no one shows up to the live meeting, you're really hurt about that. So you work harder, you put in that effort. If you commit to one weekly live meeting, and I want to throw out, and I'm not sure if he's on this call, he probably is somewhere, Mr. Josh Casey. He is hosting a live meeting in his area, and this is something he hadn't done before. And he was so excited, and he sent me a text message. He's like, I'm going all in. This is it. I'm going all in. I'm hosting a live meeting. And why are those so important is because of the environment. We pull all that energy off of people. I will tell you, when we first started in San Antonio, there wasn't anything going on. This was well before Lubbock. There wasn't anything going on. We had to start live meetings. We started with 5 people, y'all. 5 people at a restaurant, in the back room at a restaurant where we didn't have to pay to be there. It's like, hey, afterwards, can y'all just order a drink before you leave and then we're good? But that's what we had to do, and that's where we had to start. But guess what? When you start a live meeting, there are no presenters. I had to get thrown into the fire 30 days in the business if I wanted to do this live meeting. But why do I bring that up? Is because we started with just a couple people. And it sucks that it was just a couple people, but guess what? We worked harder the next week because we didn't want it to feel that sucky again. We worked harder the next week. We worked harder the next week. All of a sudden, we're putting 30 people in a room regularly. And then we get to 50 people in a room. And then COVID hit and everything dies down. And Mr. Kupis tells me, hey, put 100 people in a room. So what did I do? Turn around and put 120 people in a room. Why are live meetings so important? Because of that energy. You can start with just you and a couple people, but you got to be the presenter. You got to be the leader. These things are so crucial to developing you. It might not develop your business right away, but I promise you it will develop you. The third thing he says is you need to commit to becoming an ETL factory. Every single week, we're promoting ETL after ETL after ETL after ETL after ETL. Why is that important? Because people are getting paid. If no one's getting paid, it isn't really, the energy is awesome, but if people aren't getting paid, they aren't going to stick around for very long. But what do we have to do to become an ETL factory? We got to get people qualified. If we're not getting people qualified, we can't become an ETL factory. I know when I first started, especially here in Lubbock too, I was having trouble getting people qualified. 3 services, that's all it takes. I was having trouble. But guess what? I had to do it. And I kept pushing, and it kept turning into 28-day qualifications. And all of a sudden, people were getting qualified in ETL on the spot because of that fact that everyone was getting qualified the exact same day. It was crazy until I started practicing more. And I started rehearsing how I'm talking to people. And I started listening to Mr. Dean Torelli over and over and over and over and Robin Duplicate. I say the exact same thing he does when qualifying a rep. So it turned into 28-day qualifications to 1 to 2 day qualifications, just because I practiced and I practiced and I practiced and I couldn't get it. So I asked for help, saying, hey, I'm having trouble getting this person qualified. Please help me. I took notes. Every conversation he had with every single person, I wasn't sit here looking around while he was on Zoom working with my teammate. I was in tune with them. I was on camera. I was making sure I can duplicate exactly what he did. So it starts with qualifications, but it doesn't end there. Become an ETL factory. Get your people paid. Then the fourth thing he says, number 4, and he says, commit to developing new RCs and RDs. And for some of us, that might be a little hard. Before Lubbock, it was hard for me to think of promoting several regional coordinators or even a regional director. But that's what we have to do. We have to develop leaders. It goes beyond getting them qualified, beyond getting them executive team leader. It's making sure ACN is in them, not just them in ACN. Now that does develop some skill. It develops at a relationship. You need to have skill in a relationship to get someone fully involved in ACN. I always had Mr. Douglas Soto as my right-hand man. He was there with me, ride or die, always. My RC, let's go. We ran together, but he struggled with that at first too, is saying, hey, we need to create some RCs. We need to create some RDs. We promoted a regional coordinator in Columbia. Whoop, whoop. We were so excited about that, Miss Eileen. That was huge. Why? Because it's in a different country. He did everything he could to promote an RC. Are you guys thinking about your team members' promotions? I know exactly how many points Mr. Soko has. I know exactly how many points he needs to hit his next position. Do you know your team that way? Do you know where they stand? Are you helping them reach their next point promotion? Fifth, he said, get people qualified for leadership retreats. Now, this was another one that hit home for me, because you guys have heard me say this over and over and over again. Every single retreat, I tell you exactly where the next one is, because I'm rooting for it. Escot at Mexico. Like, I'm always, some of y'all don't even know where the next retreat is. I know it the day it comes out. Have I qualified for one? No. I haven't yet, but I have these goals every single year. I'm saying I'm going to qualify for this one. I'm going to qualify for this one. And every single year I get closer and closer and closer for qualifying, that I can taste it. I can taste Mexico. I really can. Am I going to make it this year? I sure hope so. And I have belief and confidence in myself that I will. But how will I guarantee that I make that? Is I help someone else make it. I put that dream in their minds. I've told one of my newer reps, brand spanking new, who said all he wanted to do was be able to take his family to a nice beach vacation. They have to work all year to go on a beach vacation. And I said, you know what? Work all year to have ACN take your family on a beach vacation. Come to Escot at Mexico with me. You know what? Me and your little girl, we're going to go bathing suit shopping together. Put that dream in their minds. Yes, we all want to go and be there, but are you thinking about your team? When I had Mr. Tony Kupis out to San Antonio, it's not because I wanted to get, oh my gosh, Tony Kupis over hanging out in my city. It was because I said, okay, now that I qualified for this event, how can I get you to my team? I got myself here where you are just to be able to ask you, how do I get you to where my team is? So think about your team. Think about promoting that leadership. And some of you guys, that might be hard. It might be an impossible goal for you guys because you've never been on a retreat like myself. I've never been on one, but I talk about it every year. I talk about it consistently. It's on my vision board every year, that new destination. Man, I wish I was in Turks and Caicos, but it's all right. I'm going to be in Escot at Mexico. Who's going to be there with me? Come on, y'all. Know the qualifications. Know what you need to do to get there. Know what your team needs to do to get there. Make sure we're celebrating together. Number 6. I hope I'm going in order. I might be jumping around. Set a goal for Elevate pre-reg. That is so important. I didn't realize, because I always just like, oh, right before the event, let's push hard. Let's see how many people we can get there. But that's the same thing like throwing darts at a dartboard blindfolded. We think about that in our goals all the time. You have to declare your goals, but I never thought about declaring a number for Elevate. That's our most important event. That's what gets everybody motivated. That's what gets everybody thinking about regional coordinator, regional director. Getting ACN in them are these events. Why aren't we setting numbers? Why aren't we setting double-digit numbers? Why aren't we thinking about having these people in other teams? That's one of the things that I had to change in myself. It's not just grabbing and seeing how many people can come. Now it's making sure I'm in top production when it comes to registration. Man, we can be wherever where we are when it comes to reps signing up. When it comes to, I mean, you've heard me say this before, right before the event, I was like, don't even sign up in the business. If you can only afford one, you are coming to the event with me. You're coming to Orlando with me. I don't care, because that is how they catch the vision. I'd rather have someone with vision than an IBO that signs up and won't attend an event all day long. So bring them to the event, set a goal for how many pre-regs are there. Increase the number of customer to rep ratio. Now that was really difficult for me, and I know for some of you guys it is too. It's, hey, how do we get our team to put in more customers? You got to go out there and do it yourself. Do you have 60 points? Do you have 75 points? Do you have 100 points in your own business? I thought it was really funny. I've been doing a lot of stuff on team building when it comes to training, just because of what we've done recently here in Lubbock. People want me to train on team building, and I will do whatever anybody wants me to do all day long. But someone for the first time was hearing me that I had customer acquisition. And he asked, Roxann, how many customers do you have? He was making sure I was qualified to even train on the topic. And I loved it. And I was like, yeah, I definitely am up there. I've been working. I work hard, because all those no's, what do we do, y'all? turn them into yeses. Yep, Catherine Mouthit. Yep, you can do this training. One thing I used to forget all the time is customer acquisition. When right before I hit regional director, I think I was at like 26 personal points. 26 personal points. And I'm pushing for regional director. And I said, you know what? This is crazy. I went out and I got 120 points. 120 points in a couple days because I made that commitment. We have to be committed. And the only way to increase that customer to rep ratio is by doing it yourself. Letting your team know you did it, letting your team know how many points you have and that you're getting more customers. Create an accountability with your team so that they know you're in the trenches with them. And one, I want to say, sad thing about network marketing is people just get into this recruiting mode and they forget customer acquisition. We hear so many no's. Let's turn those into customers. And then lastly, he says, you got to change your business mindset from monthly to weekly. Now, this is something I've always had. I actually have my business mindset, and it's always close to me. You hear me say it all the time, my DMO, my daily method of operations. Change your mindset from monthly to weekly, but I'm going to take it a step further because it's me. I want to say change it to daily. Why? Mr. Thomas says it all the time. Do something every single day that does what, y'all? Yep, move your business forward. I love seeing all those hands. Sam Foster was the first one. Every single day and record it. If you don't do one thing that moves your business forward, personal development is awesome. But have you piqued someone? Have you talked to someone about becoming a customer? Have you done a presentation? Every single day is the only way to move our business forward. One thing, I'm not saying to do 10 things. 10 peaks would be stinking awesome, but make a commitment to yourself to do at least one thing every single day. So that's what we got from Mr. Greg Provenzano, and I kind of wanted to put my little take on it with you guys, let you know it's one thing to say all these things, but then it's another thing to do it, and how I'm implementing every single one of these steps that he gave us into my business. And he says we got to do three things with our team. One of them is create strong personal relationships. I have a problem of getting too business minded. And so create those days, maybe once a month, where the team goes out to have dinner, no business, just hang out. That I was shocked to hear that from Mr. Provenzano's mouth. I was like, hey, he wants us to go hang out. That is a true leader, where it's not about the business 100% of the time, because it can't be. Life happens. He said, create the right culture from the front. That's one thing that we have to do, is create that right culture from the front. That is our job as leaders, and make a 100-day calendar to track your road to elevate. So one thing I've seen a lot, it's because I used to do it all the time. I used to say I built a start-stop business, is that I would be productive and then I wouldn't, and then I'd be productive and then I wouldn't. Build a 100-day roadmap. Or now I think Mr. Thomas said we're at 95 days. A 95-day roadmap where you're doing something every single day, and you know where your business is, so you can walk that stage at the next event. That is our goal, to build that recognition for you, to be that proof for you. Jackie says, yep, I'm doing it again. I'm getting all these signatures again. It's gonna happen. I loved it. So real quickly, I have a video I want to share with you guys.
Let me tell you something. You got to set the bar so high. Only you and God can believe this will happen. Don't mind haters, cause they gonna be there. And always remember, nothing is impossible when you're walking with God. Get your mind right. Big motion.
Get your mind right, y'all. Big motion. I want to repeat, and I say it all the time, or I'm listening to it all the time, because it's really what drives me, is hearing that reminder. But he says you have to set the bar so high that only you and God know it's going to happen. How high are you setting your goal? Are you setting it so low because you're scared of missing it? Because the problem with setting a low goal and you hit it is that you're still going to be low. I talked about last week with Mr. Tejada, said set an impossible goal where you really think it's going to strive and take you forever to reach. He said set that bar so high. Nothing is impossible, because it's not, because eventually you will hit that goal. Get your mind right. Big motion. Look that up. Say it to yourself every single day. And that's what the talk about confidence is. That's what that talk about commitment is getting your mind right. And we can do big things together. Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. I appreciate you. I appreciate this platform and the ability to share what's on my mind and on my heart all the time.